Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all having a great day. Welcome to another episode. My name is Gavin, and today we are going to be talking about SEAFOAM. So before we get into things too deep, we better talk about exactly what it is. SEAFOAM is a product that a lot of you have probably already heard of if you haven't already used it. It's pretty much at the checkout of every auto parts store, and there are two main forms that it comes in. Those two main forms are a normal can and then a spray can, which if you look on the back, there's a little spray nozzle that it comes with. So as popular as SEAFOAM is, it can be a little confusing on what exactly you can do with it and what exactly it does and how you use each of these individual bottles. So today we're going to go over all of that. SEAFOAM is basically a cleaning treatment that you can use to clean your engine and the fuel system in your car. And when used properly, you can use them to help increase or maintain the performance of your car as well as the reliability and longevity. But let's be honest, we all want to use it for the performance, right? And when you use it in these three most common ways that we're about to talk about, I personally have seen the benefit of it, so let's get into it. First of all, the most common product out of the two, the can and the spray, has got to be the can. And the most common way that I've seen to use the can is in your gas tank. So what this is going to do when you dump it in your gas tank is clean your fuel system, basically anywhere that your gasoline goes. It'll go through your fuel filter, it'll go through your fuel injectors, and just clean all that stuff out, including your combustion chamber. And by the way, if you have quite a bit of miles on your car, or maybe you haven't been using the cleanest of gasoline, or maybe you just noticed a decrease in performance, all these ways are going to benefit you. It says right here on the can that when you add it to your gas or diesel fuel tanks, it will clean your fuel injectors and carb jets due to deposit buildup. It can control moisture in your fuel, conditions diesel fuels and de-ices, anti-gels. And also you can use it for a fuel system treatment if you're going to store gasoline for a while and you want it to be stable. And SEAFOAM is pretty simple to decide how much you're going to use, basically 1 ounce per gallon. I typically just dump a whole can in there. You really can't use too much of it since it's a petroleum-based product. These are 16-ounce cans. If you have a 16-gallon tank, just dump it right in. Now there's a little bit of a fudge factor, give or take a few gallons. So just open it up. Crack the can open and pull off the tab. And then dump it right in. By the way, when you're using this stuff, if you want it to be most effective, when you add it to your tank, make sure to drive your tank till it's almost empty, because if you fill it up when it's about halfway or something, you'll dilute the solution and it won't work as good. On to the next one. Let's take a look under the hood. My M3 currently has 76,000 miles on it, but it's 18 years old, being a 99. I have no idea whether this has been done or any of these treatments have been done at all, and that's why I want to do them. So number 2 is another one where you're going to want to use the can, and it's one that seems a little weird, and that is to dump it into your crankcase via the oil filler cap. Doesn't it seem like if you dumped a liquid in here like this, it would dilute the oil? Well, SEAFOAM tells you that it doesn't. What this is going to do by dumping it in here is to basically clean anywhere that the oil goes. It can clean noisy lifters, it can clean nasty oil deposits or sludge. It can just go through all the valleys and the holes where your oil fills and just clean out everything. One thing to mention, that when you do this, you want to drive the car about 150 to 200 miles and then change the oil, because all of that buildup that it's going to clean out is going to be in the oil and you want to clean that out of here. You basically add 1 ounce of this liquid per quart of oil that your engine takes. For example, my engine takes about 6 quarts of oil, so I'm going to dump 6 ounces of this into my crankcase. Basically, this is a 16-ounce can. I'm just going to dump about 1/3 of it in here and call it 5 or 6 ounces. So you do it just like this. And about 1/3 of a can later for me, that's it. I was especially curious about this method because, like I said, it seems a little weird that you would dump a liquid into your oil. This method of dumping it into your crankcase is a little less popular, but it's a good use for it. Especially if you think things might be a little nasty in there and you just want to clean it out, or you just want to have the peace of mind of making sure that your engine's running at its best. So now that we've talked about the few ways that you can use the can in treating the fuel system, as well as dumping it in your crankcase to treat all of your oiling, now it's time to talk about the SEAFOAM spray. You can also use the can, but I like to try the spray. And this way is possibly the most entertaining way to use SEAFOAM. Let's get into that. This part's kind of fun because you can actually see the SEAFOAM working Basically, you're going to be able to see all of the smoke coming out the exhaust from the SEAFOAM, burning off all of the carbon deposits, or actually breaking down all the carbon deposits and burning it off, and then coming out the exhaust. So, there are two main ways that you can get this done with either the normal can or the spray can. Like I mentioned, I'm going to use the spray can, but I'll go ahead and describe to you how you would use the normal can, just in case you wanted to do that. So if you're going to use this normal can, just in case you know, a lot of the AutoZones don't carry the spray cans, what you would do is look at your intake manifold, and you can usually find YouTube videos of someone who's done this to your exact car, or at least find pictures online. But you would look at your intake manifold, which is this piece right here with all these runners, and find a vacuum line that comes off of that. The easiest one to find that I've seen in the past on any car is the vacuum line that runs to the brake booster. So what you can either do is pull off the vacuum line here and then use another hose to connect it to the nipple on that, or you can pull off the vacuum line here and then use that to suck in the SEAFOAM out of a container that you dump it into when the engine is running. But we're not going to use that. We're going to use, as I mentioned, the spray can with the little nozzle on it. What this method will do with putting things into the throttle body, or else I guess basically into your intake manifold, to get off all those nasty old hard carbon deposits that can lower performance, lower fuel economy, even give you some knock if there's enough in there. Whichever way you end up using to get it in there, it's going to clean everything from here basically into the engine. So it will clean your throttle body, it will clean your intake manifold, the intake side of the head with the intake ports, the tops of the valves, and all into the combustion chamber. So here is the SEAFOAM spray, and then the little nozzle that it comes with. You can see there's a little black protector on that as well. Basically, this hose is going to be stuck as close to the throttle body as possible without going through it. So they say, I think it's about, you want it 1/4 of an inch away from the throttle body. You want to make sure that when you spray this stuff in, it's after your math. If you spray it before, it can mess that up. So what I'll do is undo this coupler right here, pull it out. So what this will look like is I'll have to shorten this end a little bit because otherwise it will stick in too far, but I'll make sure to slide this little black reinforcement forward on the noodle a little bit more so that it will be right where that connection is on the coupler and won't smash this cord. This other side will be connected to that little blue tip right there, and then you'll essentially spray this whole can into the intake when the car is running. If you're just going to use the vacuum line to suck in the stuff, if you do it too much, you'll kill the engine. It's safe to have someone help you and keep the throttle at least 2,000 RPMs, but you're pretty safe with double your idle. Now before you do any of this, you actually have to go drive the car around or just let it idle until it's up to temperature. That's the key. You want the engine to be nice and hot, which I already done. As you can see, my operating temperatures are up. So what I'm going to do now is get under the car, run that little noodle. I'll show you where it goes and how it looks once it's run. Then I'll have someone get in here, hold the RPMs up for me while I empty that can into the intake. So I have it all run underneath there. This hose, all I need to do is just connect this side to the spray can and we'll be good to go. I don't know if you can tell, but there's already a little bit of smoke starting to come out in the back. It'll be a lot worse in a minute. Still spraying it out, emptying it in. Can is empty. At this point, you want to turn the car off. And we have all that stuff sprayed in there. What we have to do now is let this heat soak for about 10 minutes and then we'll start it up and the smoke show will really begin. And while we're waiting, I'll go ahead and pull this out and tighten everything back down and reinstall it the way it was before. All right, it's been 10 minutes, 4:59 now, and not a moment's too soon because the sun is about to go down. But let's get this thing started up. honestly not as bad as I thought it would be. I've done this on other cars before. Well, the other cars I did it on had about twice the mileage, but there was way more smoke. But at this point, we've let the engine heat soak a bit, and we've let the SEAFOAM have time to work and dissolve a lot of that carbon. Now I'm just gonna let the engine idle for a minute and burn off some more of that stuff, and then we'll go for a little bit of a drive to burn off the rest. All right guys, well this pretty much wraps up the top 3 ways that you can use SEAFOAM in your car. Just to sum everything up, the first thing that we did was dump the can into the gas tank, and that basically just cleans out all of your fuel system, all the gunk in your fuel injectors and your fuel filter, basically like giving your fuel system a laxative. And the second way that we used the can was to put some into the crankcase, into the oil, and what that basically does is clean out all the sludge and deposits from nasty, dirty oil in your engine. And the third way, which in my opinion was the most fun way, is when we put it into the intake manifold, which not only cleans out your throttle body, but it also cleans out the intake side of your head, cleans out the tops of the valves, and even in the combustion chamber from all the carbon deposits in there. And the evidence of that was with all the smoke that came out the tailpipe after the heat soak. If you're a returning subscriber, thanks again for coming back and watching yet another video. If this is your first time heading over to the channel, welcome. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you guys enjoyed today's video, if you thought it was informational, give it a big thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Let's go burn off the rest of that SEAFOAM.